Hey everyone, I'm going to be joined in a moment by Felton Kizer. He's a photographer from Chicago. He's an editor of 4 different projects right now, all print publications. And then he has 2 projects that are up and coming that he isn't quite ready to share yet. But we're going to talk about what he's been working on, how the pandemic has impacted that, and have a glass of wine and catch up. Enjoy. So I am going to screen share the layout that you sent from Journal from the upcoming issue, and let you kind of talk about the direction that took and how it came to be. My sense from looking at it was that, as is maybe a theme for you in general and the quarterly, it's definitely fashion focused, but kind of updated for the coronavirus pandemic, which is probably a challenging thing to juggle. So take it away.
All right. So this is the Journal. This is our August issue of the Journal. And for this issue, we were able to, not only talk to, the folks behind Gumbo Media, but also just share space with them, as a company. And the interesting thing that this issue brought up was this idea of competition that happens, right? Or that people say happens, right? And the only competition that, and I feel like the only reason why people say that is because, they're Black, I'm Black, and we both own a media company, but our work is really different. Like Gumbo Media, they center and focus and, actively uplift the Black voices and the voices of Black creators. That's not necessarily my mission statement. However, we certainly do that, but that is not, our tagline, right? Sure. When I founded Off-Kilter magazine, right, back in almost 6 years ago now, my idea was about inclusion, right? I was interested in inclusion on all sides of it, right? So not just race, not just gender, not just sexuality, but inclusion across the board. However, when people see me and see them, automatically y'all are now competition. They see these Black people running a thing, and it's like, okay, great. Well, y'all, can't share space because they're going to take what you have. And it's like, that makes no sense because there is plenty. There's so much more. But even the idea of, so I actually did this once, and just to show people how much room there is. So technically, right, I run 4 publications. There's 4 publications underneath the Yes Off-Kilter network, right? We have Off-Kilter magazine, Alphabetical Order, Kizer Quarterly, and the Journal, right? What we did, we took one artist, one musician, and interviewed them across 3 different publications. It was all very different. The conversation was different. How we shot them was different. And that's all. And I did that just to prove my point. Hey, there's so much that you can do, and there's so much to be said. There's so much to uncover. And I feel that way even times 10 when navigating space, with other people. And that's amazing.
If you don't see it, it probably means someone needs it in the world. And obviously there's an underserved community in dealing with it just in Black media, I would say, but it's, so certainly when you're alone or close to alone, having community and having company and having support has got to be important. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about was kind of your photography a little bit and how that fits into that style and how that fits into the different publications. So for me, at least, it seems like a lot of the work that I've seen of yours has this kind of, I don't know, it feels very natural, but yet there's a real composition to it. There's a lot, it's almost sort of like anchored in the shape of whatever you're shooting. And then there's this sort of soft kind of like saturation to the color quality. It's like there's a soft tonal quality, but it's almost like earth toned in a lot of the shots that I see, but still like feels somewhat like saturated in color, if that makes sense. I get a clear sort of aesthetic from what I've seen of your work. And how do you, I guess, navigate that to 4 different projects?
It's actually really fun. Like, to be honest, it's so fun. It's so the way I think about it is, so like my way of shooting, I would say, is the Off-Kilter magazine's aesthetic at its core, right? But then I take that foundation and I'm able to tweak it a bit. With alphabetical order, like I'm able to use like harsher lighting, right? I'm able to even use like direct flash photography, right? But the foundation is still the same. The foundation of it is the same. Now I'm just adding this extra element to it, which is amazing. And the same goes with Kizer Quarterly in the journal. It's like, okay, similar foundation, but now I'm able to push the fashion a bit more, right? And have the fashion, help this image take shape. But the key about it all is people.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, shooting more interiors for the journal has definitely been, a learning opportunity for me, because I now have to frame this space that has no people in it. So how do I do that?
Right.
And so, yeah, but it's definitely been a journey, a fun journey. Like, this is time for me to play and explore.
Looking at the work that's in all of those publications, it really is people centered. So you mentioned that you were putting together a food and beverage issue for Kizer Quarterly this spring, and obviously that felt no longer appropriate given the situation in the world. So what happened? I mean, what was that pivot like? And how did you land on what you landed in incorporating into this journal?
That was a really rough time.
It's been a few months.
It was also just rough because I was in the process of moving to New York City.
Wow.
I was supposed to move in on March 14th. And that was like right when New York was declared a state of emergency. And I, as a lot of other folks, thought, oh, this is just like the flu. Let's give it 2 weeks. We'll be fine. So I'm in Chicago grabbing stuff from storage. Like, all right, this is what I'm bringing to New York with me to start my new life, right? I was ready.
Yeah.
I've been traveling for a while. I've just come off of, like my New Orleans moment, because I always go to New Orleans for the winter. And I was like, okay, great. I'm done with that. Now it's time to do New York City. I'm like, hello, here I am. Let's do this. And then March happened, and I waited in Chicago for 2 weeks at my aunt's place, and waited another week, and then everybody just went into lockdown, and I was just like, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And at that point, I just stopped. Like, we just stopped everything, because what is there to talk about? Like, what am I selling? Like, I didn't even feel comfortable. It's like, I can't ask people to buy this $25 book. People don't have jobs. People are trying to find food, and yet I want them to buy this magazine that talks about food and beverage. I was like, no. So I was like, this is done. So I scrapped it, and I did not touch anything for a while. But the middle of April started to come around, and I was like, okay, well, I need to do something, because I don't know what we're going to do, but why not start this newspaper up and see what happens from there? You know, which is why the newspaper is the cheapest thing that we produce at this moment. I was like, okay, well, what my team still has to eat, you know, so I still need to sell something. But, you know, how can, you know, we make this a bit more approachable, you know, as opposed to everything else that we currently have, you know, in our pipeline. And so I was like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to print it monthly. We're going to just be very intentional about the content that we put in here, take our time with it. Like, there's no need to try to just throw up 100 stories a week on our website. Like, that shit makes no sense. Like, nobody needs that at this moment. People just need real content, and people need real stories. They need to be, you know, provoked in ways. They need to, you know, I don't know, just be able to share space with themselves, with the people, you know, that they're at home with. And I really want the journal to be able to do that.
You know, it sounds like you were taking into consideration everyone involved and sort of just giving the community what it needed. I do think that there's, you know, it does feel, I felt very much like, what is this? What do we do? What it could, you know, what business do I have selling wine? You know, like, it's just, but people need to talk to each other. People need to be, know that other people are out there that are feeling, you know, what they're feeling. People need solace. And so, you know, I think when you work in a way that is intentional, that has integrity, it's important. And certainly in a market that maybe, you know, again, as like we said, is underserved, I think it's really important to keep doing what you do. So I want to talk about the wine for a minute, if that's okay. So we're drinking, as I said, Maxime Magnon Metisse. Metisse, I don't know, there's an art relation in there somewhere, as a cuvee name. It's from 2018. It's a rosé. You said you loved rosé, but I also, you know, the area that this is from in Corbieres in the Languedoc-Roussillon of France is scrubby. There's a lot of earth tones with pops of color. I don't know. There's a sunniness to that area, and I sort of just looking through your work felt something resonate with that region. I also thought it would be kind of soft and fruity, but not simple, and have a lot of savor to it. But I want to hear what you think of it.
I love it.
Good. First and foremost, it's important to know if you like it or don't like it, right?
Right. No, I mean, I've been drinking so much of it. Okay, so I will say the thing that I love about it is, you know, like I can sense the moments of like complexities in the wine. However, it's still easy to digest.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, that sounds like a great conversation. That sounds like a stimulating conversation, you know? But I cannot stop thinking about this. Every time I take a sip, like, I want it to last longer. And there's this earthiness that I feel that is just left in my mouth. And it's amazing.
Yeah, it definitely, that I'm glad you like it. I think that it, the story spoke to me a little bit. The guy who makes it is probably in his 30s, young guy who moved, really felt passionate about winemaking, grew up in Burgundy, and moved to Languedoc-Roussillon because he could afford to buy some old vines there. Definitely not an area that is known. They make fine wine for sure, but it's not known for being on the cutting edge of sustainability or farming. A lot of the wine and a lot of the farming is chemical based. It's really mass production in a, you know, by and large. So he went down there, bought up some old vines, and started converting them over to organic farming, and has gone much farther than that at this point. Everything's fermented with native yeast. Very little sulfur is added. The wines have kind of feel to me like alive. There's something, you know, kind of ongoing about them. Like you said, I don't think it's hard to get a full picture with one sip. Yeah, I thought, as opposed to what most folks do, or what happens in a lot of cases in France, where you kind of inherit a domain and then just follow the family tradition. That's not what happened for him. And I don't know. I thought of you kind of braving the wilderness out there on your own to make something better in the community that you're in. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this. It's $34. Sorry, go ahead.
I said that's beautiful.
How'd you like it? I guess I wonder how you feel about that kind of connection of I don't know, there's just something like visually that made sense to me, I guess, about like where this comes from, what the wine even looks and feels like, and your work. And I know maybe that's a stretch, but I guess just thinking about, you know your work better than anyone, and probably have a viewpoint on it, but I don't know, does that resonate at all?
It does. And I think that's why I like this wine so much. If I had to, out of all the rosés that I've drank thus far, which has been a lot, and if I had to pick one that I felt like embodied who I was, I would choose this wine. And I think a part of it is, obviously is the story of the winemaker. And yeah, it's like, I had to, and am still figuring out, what my future looks like, but also what my dynasty also looks like. And even the idea, I feel like, of a rosé, I feel like rosés are often overlooked, as just a party drink. You drink it in the summertime and that's it.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to rosé than that. But I think because it, in theory, lives in the middle, as I felt like I've lived in the middle before, I'm able to just do my very best because, nobody's really paying that much attention to me. So I'm able to just work, but also without being interrupted, also without, being wrapped up into some nonsense per se. But it allows me to put my effort and energy into the things that make sense, and that is creating impactful, pieces of art.
The work you're doing is really cool, and I can't wait to see what else is on the horizon. Cheers to you, and salute. We'll catch you hopefully down the road.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to more wine conversations.
Me too. Take care.